Hello, and welcome to Episode 5 of The More You Nole, a podcast about Florida State University. I'm your host, Mike, Director of Social Media for Florida State's Office of Admissions. Thanks for downloading and subscribing. If you haven't subscribed to the show yet, you can find The More You Nole on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you download podcasts. You can also find us on our website, admissions.fsu.edu. On this week's episode, I speak with Leslie Millie, Associate Director at Florida State's Career Center. She has an absolute ton to share about the Career Center and the various services they offer to students. We'll discuss how to pick a major that aligns with your goals, opportunities for part-time employment on campus while enrolled, and how students can best prepare themselves for that big upcoming job interview. We hope you enjoy the episode. All right, I'm here with Leslie Millie from Florida State University's Career Center. Can you please give a brief introduction to our audience?
I'm the Associate Director of the Career Center, and I work with the marketing, technology, and assessment and programming aspects of the Career Center. In addition to that, I am the primary liaison to our Office of New Student and Family Programs, so I work really closely with them on orientation as well.
Cool. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got involved in your field of work?
I've had a long and winding road at Florida State University. So I graduated in 1995 with a bachelor's in media communications and worked a bit in the private sector before I had the opportunity to come to FSU working for what is now called the Opening Nights Arts Festival. I've had roles at the university with the Office of Telecommunications, which is now ITS. I've worked for the College of Business as Director of Alumni Relations, and through that work, I started working very closely with Myrna Hoover, who's now the Director of the Career Center, and she brought me over as the Associate Director, and I've been working for the Career Center for the past 7 years of my 20-year career at FSU.
Wow. So you've been really all over the place. What was it? I'm class of 06, Florida State. So I'm just curious, what was it like back in the 90s?
In the 90s, it was a lot smaller. Where HCB is now used to be the swimming pool, where we have the medical school used to be Florida High, the intramural fields were where the soccer and softball complex were. So I believe when I was a student, there were around 28,000 students on campus, so a bit smaller. I was also a marching chief, so I did the math, and it was 1 out of every 75 students at FSU was actually in marching chiefs, because at that time we had 450 members.
Oh my God. Was that the time when we were the largest marching band, I think?
Yes, absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So you've been really all over the place at Florida State, but now you're at the Career Center. So I want to kind of dive in on what the Career Center can do for students. The first thing I want to ask is, when's a good time for students to start visiting the Career Center?
We encourage students to visit the Career Center really whenever they're ready. We would love for them to come in and talk with us about their plans, to come in and engage with us, wherever they happen to be in their career journey. So we know that some students start at Florida State knowing exactly what they want to do, knowing what they want to major in, knowing what kind of career they want to have, and they hit the ground running in a different space than students who perhaps they're first generation. They don't quite know what they're going to major in. They don't quite know how to get to the career that they want. And so we engage with these students individually. We create these individualized learning plans to meet students where they are, no matter what that is, from having no idea what they want to do all the way up to they think they have everything figured out at this point. So in terms of engaging with the Career Center, we want them to do it early. There's reasons to do it early, and I would love to share more of those reasons as to why you should visit the Career Center early on as we go through this talk.
Yeah. So I think when we think of the Career Center, I think the job hunt is really the thing that comes to mind. Is you think, oh, I'm a senior, I'm going to go to the Career Center, I'm going to get this all sorted, I'm going to find a job, and that's it. But you guys really do like so much more than that. I know you also offer major advising, which you were kind of hinting at there in that last answer. So can you explain a little bit how the Career Center does major advising and how maybe it's a little bit different than the way the academic advisors approach the topic?
Sure. Sure. So I'd love to talk a little bit about the difference between career advising and academic advising. And so academic advisors are really crucial for helping students to stay on their academic maps, to make sure they're taking the right classes that will help them fulfill all the requirements for those majors. They're basically guiding them through everything they need to do in order to be successful in their academic program. Where the Career Center can complement that is we help students to think about what their values, interests, and skills are, and how all of those come together to inform their choices about what they would want to major in, what type of career they would want to have, if they would like to move on to further education after this. And so we take all of that and really come up with a plan to help guide the student in terms of what they want their career to look like. So we work very closely with academic advising, but there are absolutely, those distinct differences because we don't get into what classes you're supposed to take. We really talk more about, okay, what major will fit your values, interests, and skills, and what types of occupations will align with that as well. And let's make sure that you're majoring in something that'll help you get there.
That's really interesting. So you're really kind of looking at it from the end goal as opposed to the academic advisors who are really trying to just help the students stay on track and reach that end goal. You're trying to make sure they have the right end goal.
Exactly.
Let's kind of get back to the job hunt here. You guys do offer a ton of services related to students trying to find careers. Can you go over those for us?
Sure. So what we really want students to do when they have started their classes, so once you're officially an FSU student enrolled in classes, then you'll be able to create a profile in our system that's called Nole Network. And Nole Network is a platform that we utilize to help students locate part-time jobs, internships, full-time employment. They'll be able to search for workshops that the Career Center conducts, information sessions that employers and graduate schools are doing, and other career preparation topics. So they can use this system to do all of these different things. And they can create a profile in Nole Network where they can choose to have that searchable. So if an employer is looking for a particular type of student, they can request that resume book from us. It's a whole lot easier for students to be found by employers if they choose to do that. So this is a very robust system. It's a great platform for students to be able to engage with the Career Center. They'll get a newsletter from us that outlines the different programs, services, and events that we have going on. And so that's the primary way that we want to connect students immediately to the Career Center. We do also encourage students to engage with us with career advising. And so when we are in person, we do something called drop-in advising at the Career Center from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, no appointment necessary. And what we've done for the online instruction period while we're virtual is we have converted all of that to a virtual format. So we still do drop-in advising where a student can literally drop into Zoom to ask questions 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. If they need to talk to a career advisor, there's really no lines, no waiting. They can drop in and ask those questions that they need to get answered right now. So we want to meet students where they are.
And if our incoming students have any questions, they're welcome to use that service now, even though they're not on campus or not enrolled in classes yet, right?
Exactly. So all of that information on how to participate in drop-in advising is on the Career Center website, career.fsu.edu/info. That outlines all of our virtual services that we have going on right now. And there is a link to register for that Zoom advising. And you don't need to be participating or enrolled in classes right now to take advantage of that.
That's great. So I know you mentioned on the Nole Network, you mentioned that it's also good for finding part-time jobs. I think a lot of students, when they think of the Career Center, they're really they're thinking of that word career, and they're not kind of thinking of a part-time job there. But I know you do also offer those services, including the part-time job fair, which our office has hired, I don't know, probably hundreds of students from over the years. Can you go in a little into that job fair and how students can take advantage of finding a part-time job either on campus or nearby?
Sure. And that's one of the most popular questions that we get at orientation as well, is how do I find a part-time job either on campus or off campus? And so we work with organizations not only here at Florida State University, but in the surrounding community to post their opportunities with us in Nole Network, so that students really have more of a one-stop shop to be able to find these things that are going to align with their class schedule, that's going to be maybe within, if they don't have a car, something that's within walking distance that they can get to. We really want to make sure students have a robust way of finding these opportunities. We do have a part-time job fair annually, and we work with organizations from not just on campus, but all over the community to meet students in a fair setting so that students can bring their resume if they have one. They can fill out applications there on the spot. So it's a really good opportunity for students to get face-to-face with the employers that we have in the community. We are developing virtual ways for students to be able to engage with opportunities for part-time employment, just in case that is something that we are going to need to continue throughout the next semester. So virtual opportunities are going to be very popular, and we're working on how to get students connected to those. And another option for finding on-campus employment is we refer students to the Office of Financial Aid to determine if they are eligible for federal work study. So financial aid handles all the federal work study, and that's based on the student's FAFSA, but it is another way for students to find part-time employment on campus.
And then just something for students to know is that I think some students go in with the impression that if you don't qualify for work study, you can't get an on-campus job, but that is not true. You can definitely get one without. We have tons of students both on work study and not on work study working in our office, and I know it's pretty much the same everywhere else on campus.
Yeah, and we've had so many students, like you said, so many students have gotten jobs in your office, and they've gotten them with Campus Rec, with the union, and those are real, regular part-time jobs that they're getting that way.
Yep. Moving on from the part-time job fair, I want to talk about Seminole Futures, the big boy career fair, I guess we could call it, to the little brother part-time job fair.
So Seminole Futures is, like you said, it's our largest career fair. We do it twice a year. We have already made the determination that Seminole Futures is going to be virtual this fall, but we want to encourage students to not wait until your senior year to participate in Seminole Futures. Seminole Futures is a great way for you to gain information about what types of companies you might be interested in working for down the road, and find out what they're looking for, so that when you are ready to start seeking an internship or a full-time opportunity upon graduation, that you already know what they're looking for, and you can do that preparation along the way. So Seminole Futures, we generally have anywhere between 150 and 200 employers from all different types of career fields and occupations and industries. And we just encourage students to think a little bit more outside of the box with that. And because for instance, an accounting firm, they might not just be hiring accountants, they might be looking for marketing people too, or they could be looking for people who know how to work in technology because they need computer support, or they might need somebody who's more adept at management. And so really talking to these employers, find out what types of companies or what types of positions they're hiring for, because it might not just be what their industry is. For instance, we do a fair every year called the Health Professions Fair. And so you might think, okay, they're only hiring doctors and nurses, but that's not the case. If you think about it, hospitals are basically small cities in a way. They have people who do a little bit of everything to make that system function. And so we encourage students to come there. Maybe you want to work in the healthcare field, but you're not a doctor or a nurse, so you might consider going to the Health Professions Fair. The same could be true with the Government and Social Services Fair, with our Education and Library Fair, our STEM Career Fair. We have up to nearly 20 career fairs a year, and none of them are limited to students in any way in terms of your major. So any student of any major can go to any of our career fairs at any point during their time at FSU.
That's really cool. And I think, you hit a major piece of advice there by telling students, don't wait until your senior year to go to Seminole Futures. I actually made that mistake myself. I will admit it. Seminole Futures is, well, it'll be virtual this fall. I guess maybe not in the spring, but Seminole Futures for our listeners is, it takes place in our Civic Center in the convention hall space. And it's really big. It's a massive career fair. And the first time you walk in there, it probably will be a bit intimidating. Everyone's like, dressed to the nines in like, nice business attire, suits or stuff like that. So it can definitely be kind of intimidating when you walk in. So I think I've heard advice from your office before, go the year before, go in your junior year, or even go in your sophomore year, and maybe don't even talk to anyone. Maybe just walk around, like maybe in your freshman year, just go and like spend 20 minutes walking around just to get the vibe of what it's like. Because then when you go back to the next one and you actually need to talk to employers, you'll be kind of prepared for what the experience is going to be like.
Yeah, and we've actually added, in the past few years, we've added a student lounge, like a student waiting room. So students, when they walk in, they don't have to immediately turn that corner and go engage with hundreds of different employers. They can come in, sit down, relax, talk to one of our career advisors, develop a game plan, calm the nerves. So we really understand that not every student goes in there, ready to just talk to everybody and have a game plan. We want to help them get prepared before they go in there and, make sure that they're feeling, comfortable.
Yeah. All right. So I want to talk a little bit about internships now. If students are interested in getting an internship, what kind of advice would you give them?
I would encourage students to, of course, engage with our career advising. And one of the ways they'll be able to do that is we have industry-specific career liaisons with all of our different colleges at Florida State University. And these career liaisons are dedicated to not only advising students, but also working with employers and organizations, not just in Tallahassee, but all over the country, to post their opportunities for internships in our Nole network system. So they really have their finger on the pulse of who's looking for internships, what type of interns are they looking for. We want to make sure that, of course, our students are prepared. So again, we don't want students to wait until their senior year to come in and start developing a resume. A student really wants to have a good resume put together before applying for internships. And nobody expects a freshman or a sophomore to have tons of experience to put on a resume yet. And that's where our career advisors, career liaisons, and our career advising model can really help, is we help students think through what they've done either when they were in high school or their early time in college, not just at part-time jobs that they've had, but involvement that they've had or volunteering that they've had that have helped them develop these transferable skills that employers are looking for in interns and job seekers. So if you're thinking about communication or critical thinking, leadership skills, teamwork skills, global and intercultural fluency that students are picking up working in these different organizations or through volunteer work and service work that they're doing, students have a hard time talking about those things. So our career advisors can really help draw that out of you so that we can get you to put that on a resume so that it's easier for you to talk about it. And employers who are looking for interns can recognize that, you'll be a wonderful addition to their organization.
That's great. I think we also probably have some students out there who might be, especially our first year students, who might be a little apprehensive about diving like right away into like something as big as an internship. But I know you guys offer some kind of smaller one-day experiences. Can you explain those to them?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a program called FSU Shadow, and we run FSU Shadow during winter break, spring break, and the break after summer session ends, so in August. And these FSU Shadow experiences are just one-day opportunities with organizations and employers, not just in the state of Florida, but really we have them set up all over the country because we know not all our students stay in Tallahassee for spring break or for winter break, or they go home, or maybe they want to go somewhere different. And students have the opportunity with FSU Shadow to search for the different places they might like to go and apply for these opportunities. And we'll help facilitate that match. And once we've made that match, we get you in touch with your job shadow host. And the host really takes it from there to give you an overview of what it's like to work for a particular industry in a particular organization. It's a great way for you to use the phrase try on that hat before you really commit to something as solid as an internship. An internship can often be a full semester long, but a job shadow experience will really help you know whether or not something might be a right fit for you. And you can do multiple job shadow experiences, just like you can do multiple internships, because you really do want to figure out if something's a right fit before you commit to it. So those FSU Shadow opportunities that students have participated in have been wonderful, valuable experiences for them. We've actually even had many employers actually, who have extended internship offers to students who even just participated in that one-day shadow experience, because they had such a good experience with that student in that one day. They knew they'd be a great fit for their organization. So FSU Shadow is absolutely a wonderful way for students to get some experience, learn a little bit more about a field, but not have that high level of commitment yet.
That's great. Sounds like a really good way to literally get your foot in the door at some places. That's really cool. So when students are ready, they're probably in their senior year, when they're ready to really take on the job hunt process, how does the Career Center help prepare them for the job interview?
So we have a couple of different interview platforms that we utilize for preparing students for that interview for their job or internship. And we would even encourage students to participate in these before their senior year, because they might even have interviews for internships that they're going for, or even part-time jobs. So the primary way we do this is through our mock interview program. And the mock interview program is it's a practice interview where you have either face-to-face, by phone, or through Zoom or Skype with somebody who is asking the same questions that an employer might ask you. That entire interview is recorded, and then that mock interview mentor plays that interview back with you there with them and critiques it to let you know what you've done well and what you need to improve on. And you get to have a copy of that interview so that you can go back and reference it. So if you need, to refresh yourself on those interview tips, then you have that with you. You don't have to, try to think, oh, what did they tell me I needed to do in terms of, looking at the interviewer or taking the word out of my sentences. You have all of that, so you can take it with you. If doing a mock in-person or face-to-face interview isn't really ready for yet, we have a platform called Big Interview, where you can go on and you're doing a practice interview that is recorded, and then you are provided feedback at a later time, but it's not with an actual live person. So we recommend either platform for students to jump in. Maybe start with something on Big Interview just to get your feet wet, and then perhaps schedule a mock interview with one of our staff or mock interview mentors to really dive in and hone those skills. And those mock interviews can be scheduled again through our program or our platform called Nole Network. So that Nole Network platform that we talked about at the beginning is going to be a robust way to connect you to all these services that the Career Center offers.
That's great. I know there was one other service, I don't know if you really want to call it a service, that I wanted to touch on, but I know there's a career planning class that students can even sign up for. Can you give our listeners some details about that?
Absolutely. So we do have a class that is taught by Career Center staff and graduate students. It's called Introduction to Career Development. The course number is SDS 3340, and we do offer this class in the fall, spring, and summer sessions. So we offer it in the first 6 weeks of summer. And in this career planning class, we take everything we do in the Career Center and basically wrap it up into this one class that you can either take for 1, 2, or 3 credit hours. And the way that we break that up is we allow students we have it set into 3 separate units. So the first 5 or so weeks of the class are really focused on the career exploration, the career theory, really helping you dive into those, again, values, interests, and skills that we talked about before. The next 5 weeks focuses more on global economic and social conditions impacting the world of work. So probably a really interesting time to be taking a class right now. There are a lot of global and other things impacting the world of work right now. And then the last 5 or so weeks of the class are focused on those employability skills. So your resumes, cover letters, interviewing skills, professionalism, professional attire, how to not ruin your life on social media, those different things. So all of the things that we can talk to students about in our career advising, all these programs and platforms that we offer, we put it into this class. The class is offered for a letter grade. So it actually is for credit. So for instance, if you take it for, and I'm sorry, I need to backtrack on this a little bit, but if you're taking it for 1 credit, then you just pick one of those units throughout the semester to go to, and you let them know ahead of time. Same with 2 credits. If you take it for the full 3 credit hours, then you're taking the entire class, unit 1, unit 2, unit 3. And we, of course, highly encourage that. The career planning class is open to any student of any major of any class year. So freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors, doesn't matter what your major is. We actually love the interaction between the upperclassmen and the newer students because it really helps them engage in different kinds of dialogue. There are only 32 students per each class, and the classes are team taught by 3 instructors. So you get a lot of small group interaction with your individual instructor as well. So it's a fantastic way for students to really get that career, the employability skills and the career preparation that they may be looking for get them as prepared as they can for whatever they choose to do after graduation.
That's really great. That's such a cool service. I didn't even know we had that class until I started doing some research for this interview. Okay, so that's kind of the end of our Career Center topics. I have some kind of fun, quick-fire questions for you, and then we'll get things wrapped up. What's your favorite thing about Florida State?
My favorite thing about Florida State? Well, I'm a little biased because I was a marching chief, so my favorite thing about Florida State is just marching chiefs.
Excellent choice. Let's see. When you need to get lunch on or around campus, where do you go? What's your favorite local place?
When I go on campus, I go to, I think it's called J Street Grill in Azalea. Mm-hmm. So yeah, over there in 1851, they have the best service, best hamburgers. Love it.
And then, while we're all stuck here at home in social distancing, what are you binging right now? Any TV shows, books, or anything like that?
I'm watching the Disney Gallery special on The Mandalorian right now because I loved The Mandalorian and can't wait until the next season comes out in October. Maybe they'll release it sooner since we're all stuck at home.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah. So anything Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars Day, I just kept it on in the background all day in my house.
Awesome. That is so awesome. I love it. Okay. And then my final question that I ask all of our guests, if you could only give one piece of advice to our incoming students, what would it be?
Oh my God. I mean, I'm obviously biased because I work at the Career Center and I want every student to engage with it in some way because I just truly believe in the work that we do to prepare students for whatever it is that they want to pursue after graduation, whether that is moving on to the world of work, that's going to graduate school, maybe if they want to take a gap year and do some volunteering or whatever it is they want to do. But, some other advice would be just hearkening back to me as a student is just find something to connect with at FSU, regardless of, what it is, just something that speaks to you. Find your place. There's something or someone out there that has interests that align with yours. And that affinity is something that you will carry with you once you've graduated and you become, a member of the alumni community. That affinity just stays with you forever. It's probably, I call myself a lifer. I'm an FSU lifer. I have, 2 degrees from FSU. I've worked at FSU for 20 years. My heart is with FSU, and I just believe in everything that our university does to serve our students. Students are the reason that we're there and the most important part of being at a university.
I totally agree. Leslie Millie from Florida State University's Career Center, thank you so much for being on the show today, and go Noles.
Go Noles.
Thanks again to Leslie Millie for her time, and also to William Lineberry in the Career Center for helping to arrange the interview. If you'd like to learn more about the Career Center and their services, check out career.fsu.edu. You can also follow them on social media. They're at FSU Career Center on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and of course, LinkedIn. It's been so much fun for us to watch this show grow over its first month. If you've been enjoying it, we'd greatly appreciate you taking a few minutes of your day to rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts or your podcast app of choice. Word of mouth is our best friend, so please also share the show with any of your friends or family who might enjoy it. We're looking to include some listener mail in future episodes, so if you have any questions you'd like answered or feedback on the show, please email admissions@fsu.edu and include the word podcast in the subject line. You can also reach us on social media. We're at FSU Admissions on Twitter and Facebook, and at FSU.admissions on Instagram. As always, our theme music is the world-renowned Florida State University Marching Chiefs. Recordings courtesy of Mark Records, Clarence, New York, markcustom.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the show in Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or your podcast app of choice. Thanks again for listening, and go Noles!